Hey, this is KK Lyles. I appreciate you taking the time to kind of watch and listen to this, and I'll try to be brief to give you enough background information about Omniscope and hopefully how it can be valuable to you and your organization. So, Omniscope is a new category in sports performance. It's about immune intelligence. At Omniscope, we see what your immune system is seeing. Your immune system is constantly detecting disease, managing inflammation, repairing tissue, adapting to stress, and determining how we age. In sport, we already measure external load, neuromuscular output, movement quality, HRV, and maybe some blood markers. However, the gap that's missing is internal biological adaptation. The immune system isn't just about illness, it regulates inflammation, tissue repair, cellular senescence, regeneration. Training is stressful, but adaptation happens at the cell and is cellular. If we don't measure cellular adaptation, we're only managing half of the equation. However, Omniscope didn't start in sports, it started in medicine. It started with a child that was born with an aggressive rare tumor cancer, only given a month or two to live. And so, by reading millions of immune cells from that child and from the tumor, we built a computational model. It's a large scale biological model trained on immune data and has allowed us to design personalized therapy. So, that child that was only given a month or two to live is now turned 4 years old. And that's really what kickstarted Omniscope. And I say that because it matters that this isn't just another dashboard, but this is actually clinical grade science. We've partnered with some of the best, from GSK to Fox Chase Cancer Center to AstraZeneca, among others, who are the world's best companies. And that's because conventional inflammatory markers lack sensitivity and early detection capability. Over time, we built what is now the world's largest immune data bank with more than 1 million T cells analyzed per individual. We have patients in data across cancer patients, infectious disease patients, autoimmune disease, healthy individuals, athletes, and centenarians. We don't just compare an athlete to a normal blood range, but we compare them to thousands of deeply profiled individuals. So we had to ask ourselves the fundamental questions: what does it actually mean to be healthy? And by studying these individuals longitudinally, we discover aging affects the immune system, and the immune system affects how we age. We have 3 performance relevant outputs: immune age, inflammation score, and protection against common viruses. An accelerated immune age means cellular repair and regeneration are lagging behind the stress exposure. In a clinical population, accelerated immune age predicts disease progression. And in athletes, elevated immune age and inflammation correlate with higher injury frequency. At elite clubs like FC Barcelona, the sports medicine team understood something critical. We cannot manage performance if we don't understand adaptation. And GPS tells us external load, but nothing tells us about how the athlete is adapting internally. And adaptation is everything. And so through our partnership with FC Barca, we're seeing that Omniscope has utility outside of real medicine and pharmacology, and it can actually impact how we support our athletes. This is our OS Sports platform. It converts immune complexity into actionable performance intelligence. From a team dashboard, you can see immune age, inflammation status, adaptation trends, risk markers. We can also digest wearable data, GPS data, or any other data sets that are valuable to you and compare it with how your immune system responds. You can see who on your team are biologically aging faster than expected, which is the chart on the left, their immune age compared to their chronological age. And then you can also see the whole team here on the graph on the right with the 2 highlighted players who have higher than normal inflammation. So you can kind of quickly see where each player is and obviously dive into each player and get more specific. We're seeing athletes play late into their 30s and even into their 40s. So in sport, chronological age doesn't matter as much, but biological age does. Immune age is actionable, it's modifiable, and it's a biological metric. Immune age is dynamic, it moves with load, sleep, travel, recovery, illness, and rehab. And here's the power of it. Here's two players, same team, same training environment. And the kind of shaded gray in the background is external GPS data. And the player on the top, you can see their immune age initially kind of go down and then start to go up. Meanwhile, the player on the bottom, again, similar training volume, their immune age goes up and then starts to go down. And so while if you're looking at just external data sets, things would relatively look the same. However, you can see the player on top here is not responding to that training load, and the internal adaptation is not happening. So it's too much versus the player on the bottom who's having a really nice response to that load. We've partnered with 5 times champion Alon Galani to understand how at the age of 50, he's still top fighter in the world. Longevity isn't philosophical, and we probably agree durability is a competitive advantage. So what's the common denominator in long career athletes and even centenarians? It's low chronic inflammation and a stable immune architecture. If you want a 12-year career instead of a 2 or 3 year career, then I think this biology matters. This slide here has me really rethinking how we implement load management or even what it means. You can see the player on top here, external load. And so bringing their external GPS data into our platform, they have a score of 45 over 100. However, their immune age is at 32 and their inflammation is at 84 versus the player on the bottom whose external load is 70, significantly higher than the 45, but has an immune age of 28 and inflammation of 69. And so rather than looking at averages or distributions of external data, we can actually measure the cellular response to that external load and understand if our players are actually responding well or if they're being overtrained and responding negatively. And we're seeing trends that high levels of inflammation tend to lead to injuries. It can also be used in return to play decisions. And so here, a tennis player that we work with had an injury and had, the local kind of mechanical readiness was there. Your typical strength and force place metrics were all back to normal. However, there's still systemic inflammation. And so it can help guide you in return to play protocols to know when a player is actually ready or not. We know inflammation drives injury risk and underperformance. Blood tests only flag inflammation after the damage is done. So here is one real case. Blood tests on the bottom were all absolutely normal. Symptoms were vague, but the immune profiling showed inflammation rising steadily over months on the graph on top. With cellular tracking, you intercept before there is tissue damage and limits the player's availability. And we're seeing changes at the cell long before you would see any changes in the blood markers. It's not just about preventing injury, it's about extending performance, extending lifespan. We've profiled world champion MMA fighters in their 50s, our own biologist who's an endurance athlete setting PRs in her most recent half marathons. We've seen centenarian athletes all have amazing immune systems. And looking at centenarians, super centenarians, they all have a common denominator, amazing immune systems. The best performers and the longest lived individuals share immune stability and low inflammaging. For athletes in their organization, this is an asset management tool. And this is sports, and it's also how we measure the whole picture. And so we use our model of aging. We don't guess, we don't use single biomarkers, but we measure it through our model of age. And we look at the methylation clock, immune age, protection score, inflammation, immune tracking, tissue damage, senescence, telomere length, immune phenotyping. This model is dynamic. It responds to training, to recovery, to sleep, to stress, and most importantly, it's actionable. And that's mainly through our Immune GPT, which is on the software. It's intelligence delivered to you through the dashboard, where you can ask it anything, and you can ask it what it means. You can ask for suggestions on where to take it, and this is all trained on research-backed papers. As I mentioned, that's all provided through our OS Sport. We also have for individuals OS Lifetime dashboard. It's all the same information, just presented differently. But in the OS Lifetime, you can kind of see data spread out over time. And similar to OS Sport, you can click into your athlete and get similar readings here. But this is not just another wellness app. It's a lifetime management platform. You can track immune age, monitor inflammation, quantify adaptation, measure recovery impact, and optimize health span. For decades, sports science focused on biomechanics, then GPS, then workload ratios, and I think the next frontier is biology. Athletes are made of cells. If you want sustainable performance, reduce injury, and extended careers, then I think we need to understand the immune system at a cellular level. At Omniscope, we don't just measure performance, we measure adaptation. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. I look